Okay guys, so today we're going to be looking at 18.3 special products of binomials, okay? And so the first thing that I want us to recognize is the essential question, okay? How can you find special products of binomials? So as we go through this, keep in mind, how can we find special products of binomials, okay? So let's go ahead and go down to page 868, and we're going to start right here with explain 1. And we're going to look at multiplying a plus b squared, okay? So in the Explorer, they determined a formula for the square of a binomial sum. So the quantity of a plus b squared equals a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. A trinomial of the form a squared plus 2ab plus b squared is called a perfect square trinomial, okay? So highlight that, circle it, box it, do whatever you need to do, but make sure that's something that we keep in mind, okay? So a perfect square trinomial is a trinomial that is the result of squaring a binomial, okay? And so if we look back up here, we see that we are going to be squaring a binomial. Okay, so for example 1, I want you guys to go ahead and just watch. Okay, so just watch. Well, for part A, at least. Okay, and so we have x plus 4 squared. So we have, if you guys remember our formula, a plus b squared equals a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. Okay, and so if I go through and I say, well, my x is going to represent my a, and my 4 is going to represent my b, we get x squared, right, a squared, plus 2x times 4, which is 2ab, plus 4 squared, which is b squared. Okay, so if I plug those in or I simplify, I get x squared plus, 2 times 4 is 8, and so I have 8x, and then 4 times 4 gives me 16. And that's where I get the x squared plus 8x plus 16. Okay, so now I want you guys to do b with me, so make sure that you're writing this down. And so we have 3x plus 2y squared. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say this is my a term and this is my b term, if we're looking at our formula here. And so I know I'm going to have a and I'm going to have b. So a is going to be 3x. It's not just going to be 3 and it's not just going to be x, but it's going to be 3x. And just like b is going to be 2y. And so I have 3x squared, which is a squared, plus 2ab plus by squared. Okay, and so my a was 3x, my b was 2y, and my b again was 2y. Okay, and so when I square this, when I have 3x squared, I have to distribute that 2 because it's outside of the parentheses, and I have to distribute it to both because if you guys remember, 3 and x are being multiplied, and so they're each separate terms. And so we have 3 squared times x squared plus something xy. So now I'm looking here. Well, I already wrote it up here, and so 2 times 3 gives me 6, but then I have this 2, so 6 times 2 will give me 12, and so I have plus 12xy, and then I have 2y squared, so again I'm going to have to distribute that 2 to the 2 here and my y, and so I get plus 2 squared y squared. And so my final answer is going to be the simplified version of this. So if I take 3 times 3, I get 9x squared plus 12xy plus, 2 times 2, right? This is just saying 2 times 2, so I have 4y squared. This will be my final answer, okay? So go ahead and go down to your turn with me. The first thing I want us to do is rewrite that formula. So I have a plus b squared equals a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. Okay, and that's just going to help us remember as we go through number 6 together. Okay, so I'm going to label A and B. And so if I rewrite that, I have negative x squared plus 2 negative x, right? This is my A, and then B, and then plus b squared, okay? So if I go through and I simplify that, well, negative x times negative x gives me a positive x squared, because a negative times a negative is a positive. And then I have 2 times negative x times 3. So I have minus, because a positive times that negative gives me a negative 6x. And then plus, well, 3 squared is just 3 times 3. And so I have plus 9. Okay? And so this is going to be my final answer. Make sure that you guys pay attention to the signs, because if not, that will mess you up a little bit. Okay? And so we will continue on in just a moment.